Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles podcast. I am Tats, and we will be breaking down everything from last night's game and what we can expect for tonight's game. It was just one of those, the series that seemed like it took months to finish with all the delays, but we will not delay. We will be breaking everything down right here on Pitch Strike Chronicles. So we had the game 5 finally last night, and it was one of those games where you didn't know what to expect, but you expected the best, and that's what we got. We actually had a very, very good game, and it got started off right in the first inning. Nestor Cortez, who we were going on short rest, we didn't know what we were going to get out of him. I was hoping, I was talking on the Yankees Morning Brew yesterday afternoon, and my guess was they were going to throw, he was going to go 60 pitches. It didn't matter the innings. I didn't think they were going to push him too much. But he was able to give us 5 solid innings. And that first inning, what, 8 or 9 pitches. You just worked very quick, worked on soft contact, which is, one of the things that he, in his postseason post-game interview, he said that that's what he wanted to do. And the first inning just really just set the tone for the game. Having Nestor able to throw such minimal pitches was vital to getting the game off to the right track. And then you had what I also wanted to see happen was with patient at bats, putting traffic on the bases, forced them to make a mistake. And that's exactly how that first inning went for our offense. Gleyber starting off the game with the walk, I thought was huge. It was so important to get that first base runner, especially with all the quote-unquote controversy of the leadoff batter not being judged. Should it be? Who would be the leadoff hitter? Gleyber was able to get the walk to set the tone. Unfortunately, Judge struck out, wasn't able to really move him around. But Rizzo getting hit by the pitch, and then Stanton, one of the best Yankees that the fans love to hate, gets the 3-run home run. We are set. We have our 3 runs. That's how you win. That's how you win postseason games. The 3-run home run gets it done pretty much every time. And I thought that with Stanton, it's very tricky because a lot of people during the regular season are very critical, and we've been big defenders of him on this show. And you have to realize that when you're a Yankee, the only thing that erases any negativity is postseason performance. And Giancarlo Stanton has risen almost every time. He had 2 home runs in the series. Both of them came in key moments to set the tone. I think it was in game 2 when he hit the home run. They ended up blowing it in the bullpen with the extra inning game. And then last night, he does it again. He's the one that put the Yankees on their back. And they were like, all right, let's roll. So having Stanton in such a October state of mind is really what's going to drive the success of this team. He's not a speaker. I was listening very intently to all the post-game interviews. And with Nestor Cortez, while he was also talking about wanting to make sure that he stayed calm, Boone gave him the heads up that if this goes into a rain delay, or gets postponed, you'll be pitching in the next, the day game. And it was exactly what happened. He ended up getting the call, and he wanted to make sure that he was as effective as possible. His goal was not so much to overpower the hitters, but wanted to create soft contact for quick innings. So he was able to give the team extra, a little bit of length. He didn't want to just go out for 1 or 2 innings. And he had made the statement that Giancarlo Stanton he is not a big talker in the locker room, but when it comes to the postseason, he will highlight that this is time for everybody to play together, the camaraderie. And when he talks, everybody listens and rallies behind him. So the postseason Stanton is why we made that trade. That's why we always make big trades. It's for the postseason performance. And so John Cole is holding up his end of the bargain. So let's get to Spencer real quick. And Spencer says, I agree exactly what you're saying about Stanton. He capitalized on the opportunity presented to him in the first inning. That's what you want to set the tone. Set the tone. That's all you're asking for. And what looked like, and the amazing thing about his swing, and this is said a lot, and it's almost to the point it's like repetitive, but his swing looks so effortless. Like that's just the strength that this guy has. It's amazing. What looks like he just chipped it foul, it just went up into the seats, and there you go. Now the Yankees are set. Judge does get the home run in the next inning, make it 4-0. And again, another quick inning from Nesta. Nesta was lit. He was just ready to go. And this team was not going to be denied going to the ALCS. They won Houston. The fans won Houston. Where we need to be careful is not getting too ahead of ourselves. The reason that I want Houston, if we're able to keep going in this playoffs, you want to beat the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and you want to exercise your demons and be able to say, all right, we finally got over that hump. We broke this down near the end of the season when we were doing our playoff preview. In 2004, the reason the Red Sox were able to enjoy that win so much against us when they were able to come back and win 4 games is we were always that team standing in their way. And that made 2004 for them that much sweeter. Well, it's our turn to have a little bit of the sweetness by taking care of the Astros. The Astros were not tearing it up against the Mariners. Yeah, they had the 3-game sweep, but the Mariners did not make it easy. Their offense, Houston's offense, did not tear it up. It came down to 3 home runs, 2 from Yordy Alvarez and 1 from Pena. So it's not like everybody else was making this whole big, they were just made it like they didn't even need to bother playing because the Mariners were no match for them. I think the Mariners actually were a good matchup for them. So when you have an issue where you have a team that's in your head, and that's going to be the Yankees' Achilles heel going into this for some of the guys that have been around for the previous years, is there are players on this team that were not part of 2017. And so you're going to have, well, we're not even here in the beginning of the year when we had the problems with, going against them in the regular season. Bader is going to be, don't underestimate his ability to continue the momentum and get us big at bats. His walk last night was huge. He put together an amazing at bat. I tweeted it out right away. An amazing at bat. So the Houston series is not going to be easy. It's going to be a dogfight. We all know that. We know what they are. The fact that the key is don't change what you don't. Keep your attack. We're not going to have Montgomery in the rotation, who never handled Houston well. We might be getting Montas back. That's going to be a factor. So as far as people coming back, let's get to Hypebeast Jay. Good morning, Hypebeast. He's like, I hope DJ or Benintendi are ready to play. We need some depth in our offense. But from what Boone was saying, is it's not looking hopeful for Benintendi. They said he had a little setback on his excuse me, a little setback and he had a little twinge in his wrist, so he's most likely not going to be available for the series. Unless there's like a extremely extenuating circumstance. And DJ, that he was still unsure about. We should probably hear a more decisive answer in the coming hours. And yeah, if we can get Marinaccio back too, that bullpen needs the depth. And when it comes to the injuries, it would be negligent to really dive into the situation with Aaron Hicks and getting hurt. And as much as we trash him, we just don't like him as a player. Is That's not a way you want to get a guy to come off a field. It looked a lot. It looked like he actually collided with the head at first into Cabrera, and that was one of those plays that part of the outfield has just been killing us this year. They just try to put it there. They got these chip shots that just fall into that hole of left field, and they're all running out. But it should always be the left fielder's ball. With it was Donaldson and Cabrera rushing out because they knew it was Hicks and they have they didn't trust that he can get to it. It doesn't matter if he doesn't get to it, as long as it doesn't get past him. I went into that when everybody was getting on him for not hustling. You want to make sure that ball never gets past you. Okay, and that also goes for the outfielders. If it gets past Hicks and goes to then dips off the wall, now you have the same situation. So with Hicks, it's really unfortunate. He's definitely going to be out. He got the MRI after the game last night, and it looks like it's his knee that's going to be the issue. So we'll see what happens with the roster move. What do you guys think the roster move should be? Put it down in the comments. Who do is this that window to get Peraza back? That's what I want to see. But do you agree with me on that? So, Jay's Hicks has come up big with the Astros before. I hope he's available. It doesn't look like it. Nothing's been decided yet, but you never know. You never know. So it's one of those situations where you don't want to see it happen, but at the same time, we were all saying we didn't even want him on the roster. But again, this is not how you want it to go down. It's unfortunate. I hope it's nothing too serious, because at the end of the day, we're all just people, and you can't really you don't want to wish any harm on anybody. That's not the way to go. That's bad. That's bad karma. But the bullpen, I think, did a very good job as well. I know I'm bouncing all over the place right now. Doing my first solo show, and usually I have Rob and Donald to feed off of and keep the conversations a lot more lively. I'm working on it. And so hearing myself talk is very strange, but bear with me here, guys. And it's the bullpen, which we thought was going to be a huge setback for us, ended up really not being. They weren't terrible. They had a couple of innings where they were putting on traffic. Loiza could put on some traffic last night, but worked his way out of it. That's what you need to do. You need guys to just grind it down and just get the job done. And that's exactly what they did. So you can't really – I really have no complaints with the bullpen. Wandy Peralta, how is it you have a guy that just comes back off the IL, is available to you for all 5 days, and it's just unbelievable. So I think Wandy Peralta gets a huge amount of credit for the Yankees being able to advance. He could have just, he could have had a bad outing and given the Yankees an excuse of, what we had a reliever that was just coming off the IL. We didn't know what we are. We just had to take the chance. We trusted. We have trusted him. Blah blah blah, and that's why it's even that much more impressive that he was able to be as in control as he was. I don't want to use the word dominant because it wasn't like he got through everything easy. But back to the comments section, Spencer. It's like I said in a previous broadcast. If Stanton strikes out 3 times in a game but hits a home run, the Yankees are very likely to win. That's exactly true. It's not about – you need to highlight, as much as sports fans and athletes, you're measured more on your failures than your successes. But when you have that little bit of success, when you are able to have success, that usually leads to having um, the example of um, morning brew. Yeah, it was 60 pitches. I'm very rarely right. I'm not right a lot, but I got it. I got it on that one. So, but um, one of the issues that I was having um, with Wandy and with not Wandy, with Stanton is I thought that he would have had more quality at bats, but when he did have those few legitimate, when he was competitive, he was productive. So that's really what you're aiming for. You're aiming for productivity, and striking out doesn't always make it. Sometimes a strikeout can be good, and I hate getting into the analytics of it because I hate analytics. But at least when you're striking out, it's only one out, not two, because usually if he's just missing the ball, it's a ground ball to either short or second, and that now we're down 2 outs. You want to if you're going to have an out, you want it productive. He had the sac fly too. Let's not forget the sac fly. That's a very underrated run. A lot of people, they want it all the way out into the field. They want the home run. Chicks dig the long ball. And Stanton's just one of those postseason animals, and you have to stop hating on this guy. You really do. Yeah, 110 miles. Yeah, when he hits it, I think Bob Costas said it on the broadcast. When you look at the end of the year and they show all of the fastest, the hardest hit balls in baseball, if they're showing 10 of them, 5 of them are going to be Stanton's because he just has that power. He's got that strength. He could hit. I'm surprised that if he fouls tips it into the dirt, it doesn't leave a hole. That's just the power, the velocity the ball comes off the bat. And the other, so with Stanton, I'm just tired of the hate. I really am. But I do want to move. I brought up how Glaber had to walk to start off the game, and that was a huge, huge walk because it really set the tone. Having them to go to their bullpen in the first inning it was so critical. It had to happen. It was stay patient, wait for your chance to get to strike, and that's what they did. And I said that to start the show. But let's get into Gleyber Torres at the end of the game with Josh Naylor. Now, Naylor is never going to live this down. You heard the chants all through the stadium. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? And at first, I'm like, that's kind of cheesy because that was Pedro. And Pedro, he needs to be on his own pedestal because that's how he was as a competitor. And it was fun to kind of bring something back from the past, from the dynasty years. But the who's your daddy, that's a Pedro thing. But he's got to hold that out. You're right, Hector. And put a thumbs up in a comment if you want to join me. I'll put the link up. So it was one of those. You really need to appreciate that Gleyber Torres, of all people. Now he's usually, he always comes off very nonchalant. He doesn't really come off overly aggressive or controversial. When he makes the out and does the cradle, I was freaking dying. I'm dying. I'm like, this is just too much. I'm like that's that type of fire we need. I thought that was a better dig than when Judge played the radio in Fenway. One, because the series was already over. There was not, you weren't digging on them, and then you have to play them today, where now you got those guys all fired up. So it's also the timing of your dig that really comes into play. I just hope that Torres that's not his peak of of this playoffs. He needs to continue to just be a little fired up uh, going into the Houston series. We need him, especially if they're going to utilize him in that leadoff spot. He's got to stay patient. Yeah. No, Hypebeast is right. Glaber did it right at the right time. After winning the series, you don't want to do that prematurely. It was subtle, and I loved it. Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up, and also comparing it to when Judge played the radio at Fenway. It's timing is everything. When you want to put a nail in your enemy's coffin, you kind of you don't want to do it while they still have a heartbeat, because then they can come right back at you. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment, and hats off to Naylor because also he did take it in stride. He didn't go complaining. He didn't, you heard it. It was it was a situation that he knew what he did. He knew he was going to hear it, and he just kind of rolled with it and just played the game. He didn't throw a fit. He didn't start arguing with the players. I think Cabrera said something to it at one point. The other thing with Cabrera, slow your roll. You just got here. Stop. You don't need. You don't need to be the firecracker. That's just getting. You barely have your feet wet in bigs. Don't poke too much. Just play your game because you need to be a little more productive. You need your bat to wake up a little bit. Defense is fine. I thought that him starting it short again and leaving IKF on the bench was a big move. I think that's what they needed to do. But Cabrera needs to calm down just a little bit. I think he's getting a little too overhyped. Yeah, I wasn't expecting Torres to do that. No, I don't think anybody. I didn't expect the Yankees to poke like that. Not on the field, the way that they would do, the way that he did it, completely unexpected. And like I said, I was in shock, and it was the icing on the cake exactly morning, and that's when it was like, oh, I can't believe he did that, and it almost made the celebration that much sweeter. So and then let's also with the fans. You saw you've seen the pictures all over social media with the young guys doing the cradle as he's going into the dugout. And hats off to the fans with everything that was happening with all these delays. Trying to get to the stadium. A random Tuesday at 4:00. They still packed the house. So as much as we were worried that we weren't going to have the momentum of the game, and the stadium was going to be a little on the quiet side. Excuse me. That wasn't going to have that Yankee Stadium playoff feel. The fans showed up and brought it. I know a lot of people, friends of mine were at the game, and they were there ready to go. So if you're able to rearrange your schedule like that on the fly to go to a ball game and a playoff game, then hats off to you. That's dedication. I wish I had the opportunity to do that. So we all know what happened. You all heard the stadium story from game one, but that was like really unfortunate. So if you haven't watched the game one review and the game one show, and you'll hear the stadium story, it's hysterical. When let's see, Spencer, when the sun went down and the air got very cool with the Yankees winning, it really had the elements of postseason baseball. Yeah, it was definitely had that fall feel after the sun went down. It was cold last night. So you did have that October baseball vibe going on, and it was awesome. So yeah, I think that once everybody was able to get to the stadium, And you saw as you know in the beginning, you're seeing the as the games get about to start, there were videos of them scanning the seats, and there really weren't a lot of people in there in the stadium yet. But at 4 o'clock, a lot of people just leaving work early. It's not like a 1 o'clock game where they gotta try to get a whole day off or half a day off. You were able to just leave a little early to get to the stadium, and it was you're looking around, it's freaking packed. It was packed. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is at the end of the when you see Cole in the bullpen, and I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think they were going to go that route, but it just shows that play. I said on the Morning Brew show yesterday, I jumped on with Hector, and we were saying how you have to play for today. You can't worry about tomorrow. Make sure you have it tomorrow before you start overthinking anything. So you have to make sure that when you're in a situation to put a team away and move forward to the next series, that you use every resource possible. If you had to use Cole to get an out, you do it. You know, if it was a gamble because you don't see it a lot. The only guy that was really a master at being able to throw 120 pitches and then throw an inning out of the pen was Madison Bumgarner. He was a rare breed. When he was with the Giants. And you don't hear much of him about him. With his time with the Diamondbacks, but when he was just Bumgarner is one of the better postseason pitchers that I've seen. Hypebeast Jay, this series it was as huge as a fan, not only because of Naylor, also because of what Straw did about it. Yeah. Too bad. You know what? This is New York. The fans are going to be what they are. If you can't handle it, then that's not our fault, right? New York is not just a place to live; it's a state of mind. It's an attitude, and when you're trying to come at us, we're gonna come at you more, and we're gonna dig up anything that we can to get under your skin because that's just how it is, and it's highlighted more in a sports sense. So yeah, between Straw and Naylor, they were kind of asking for it. So Guardians getting a lot of criticism for not pitching Bieber. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. You have to. It's an elimination game. I think Frank Horner screwed up. Good for us, but he screwed up. You have to. Look at it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to be saying this a lot during the rest of this postseason run. You have to play today and worry about tomorrow. Get through one game at a time. There's one pitch, one inning. One hitter, one at bat. Take it one step at a time. If you start thinking 3 games ahead and trying to analyze, all right, if I use him for 5 pitches here, or 5 innings here, I can't use him for another. I don't want to hear that. Play the game that you're playing. Don't worry about the game that you have to play next, because that's when you start jamming yourself up. If you can manage it well, you can sustain success by going all out every game. Sometimes they say game 1 is the biggest game of a series. Well, we're going to find out tonight when we have Houston on. When we're down in Houston, we're going to have Verlander pitching against Tyone. Are we really having high expectations for Tyone tonight? Yeah, but Verlander got rocked in his first, when his start against the Mariners. He's looking for a revenge outing, even though it's a different team. So it's going to be interesting to see how these pitchers match up against each other. Well, and I'm not saying that Tyone can match up to Verlander, but I think Tyone can give you a competitive outing and kind of force the Houston Bats to work a little harder. But we'll find out about all that, and we'll be breaking that down tomorrow. We will be with Hector and Jiggerman from the Yankees Morning Brew will be joining us tomorrow to break down tonight's game and how we see the rest of the season series going. So that's going to wrap things up for me. I'm Tats. I've been solo. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.